you're actually going to solve it and get two solutions. So kind of the big picture of this, if I were to graph out, say, a quadratic here, we're actually, when I say we're solving, we're actually trying to find the x-intercepts. So in this case here, where those 2 points there, you end up getting two solutions here. So two x-intercepts or two solutions. If the parabola were graphed out something like this, and the vertex is sitting there right on the x-axis, you end up with one solution or one x-intercept. And it's also possible that the entire parabola will never touch the x-axis. In this case, there'd be no solution. So when you're solving, bear this in mind, that it's possible to find two solutions, one solution, and it's possible also to find no solution. So letter A here says to go ahead and solve by factoring. So let's factor this. So what times what gives me x squared, x times x. What two numbers multiply to give us 6 and add to give us -5? Oh yeah, that'd be a -2 times a -3. -2 times a -3 is 6, and -2 plus a -3 gives us a -5. So then you want to think, how do I get 0 there? If you don't see it, you can just go ahead and take that term, set it equals 0, and solve for x. So I got to get x all by itself, so I got to add 2, and I got x equals 2. So there's one of my solutions. And then I've got x minus 3 equals 0. Add 3, and x equals 3. So my two solutions there are x equals 2 and x equals 3. So you can kind of come back over here and see, oh yeah, of course, if I put 2 minus 2, I get 0 in there. And 0 times anything will give me 0. If I put a 3 in here, 3 minus 3 is 0. It doesn't matter what that first one is when I put 3 in there. I'm still going to get 0 times something will give me 0. And that's what the zero product property is saying. If one of these terms is 0 equals 0, then you multiply by it, you will also get 0. All right, so solving here, this quadratic here, whenever you got a quadratic, pretty much you want to bring everything over on one side, set it equals 0, factor and solve. And we like it when x squared there is 1. It's positive. So I brought everything over onto the left-hand side there. Now I got to think, what times what gives me x squared? And then I gotta think what two numbers multiply to give me 12 and add to give me -7. -3 and -4. Oh yeah, those will work. -3 times -4 is 12, and -3 plus a -4 gives us a -7. So I gotta think, how do I get 0 here? I get 0 there when x is 3. How do I get 0 here? Oh yeah, when x equals 4. So hopefully after a while you can see those. If you don't, again, you set the terms equal 0 and solve for x. So in both of those cases, you would end up with two solutions. So like 2 and 3 here. Or it could be that you had a 3 here and a 4 here. So those will be your two solutions going through there. And then we got another example here. This one looks a little bit different. It's different from the ones we had before. Before we had an x squared term, an x term, and then a constant term. This one over here, you've got x minus 7 squared. So you got something in parentheses there being squared equals 25. What you want to do is you want to undo this equation and get it just so it's an x and not that squared term. So you're going to take the square root of both sides. When you take the square root of this, on the left-hand side, when you square root a squared term there, you just get what's underneath the square, which is x minus 7. Over here, you get plus or minus 5. So I've got two solutions. I've got x minus 7 equals 5, or I've got x minus 7 equals -5. So then I got to solve for x in each case. I've got to add 7, and I get x equals 12. I've got to add 7, and I get x equals 2. So this time I've got two solutions, 12 and 2. And if you plugged them back in the original one there, it would have been 12 minus 7 squared. Does it give me 25? Yeah, 5 squared equals 25, and 25 equals 25. And I could do that same thing with the other one. 2 minus 7 squared equals 25. 2 minus 7 there is -5. If I square -5, I end up getting 25. So it does work. If I plugged in 12 or 2 back in the original equation there, I'll end up getting 25 each time. Letter D, what you want to do for that one is bring everything over on the x squared term side. So I gotta subtract 3x from both sides. And I get 4x squared minus 36x equals 0. So I brought everything over on one side, and then I want to look for GCF, factor out a GCF, because I don't have 3 terms. I've only got 2 terms, so I'm going to see if I've got a GCF going on here. So notice those 2 terms there I have in common, an x variable, and then 4. So 4x times what gives me 4x squared? Oh yeah, that'd be x. And 4x times what gives me 36x? Oh yeah, that would be 9. So then over here on the outside here, I want to think, how do I get 0 out there? Well, if I don't see it, I'm going to set it equals 0 and then solve for x. And I could do the same thing with x minus 9. If I don't see it, I can set it equals 0 and solve for x. So the 4 and the x there is connected by multiplication, so I have to divide to get rid of the 4. 0 divided by 4 there is 0. And then over here, I got to get rid of minus 9, so I have to add 9, and I get x equals 9. So I've got my 2 solutions, 0 and 9. So far, all of ours have gotten 1 solution so far. And now we've got this other ones here where we're going to solve by graphing. So you're going to need out a graphing calculator to do this. So if you don't have one, you want to find one and get one out to be able to do something like this. So I'm going to pull up my graphing calculator here. There it is. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the y equals here, and we're going to substitute a function in there. So it says solve by graphing. Before we do that, however, we're going to move everything over by the x squared term, set it equals 0, and then we're going to plug that equation into the graphing calculator. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides here, and I'm lining it up. Since it's like terms there, I lined up the 14 and the minus 2 because those are like terms. I'm going to bring over the 2x. Again, I'm going to line up the like terms. So I get 5x squared plus 32x plus 12 equals 0. So my calculator there, I'm looking to see where my x-intercepts are, because where my x-intercepts are, that's where my y value there is going to be equal to 0. That's why it said equals 0, because that's what your y values are going to equal 0 there. So let's find out what those x values are. So into here, I'm going to plug in, I'm going to go 5. The x key is over here to the right of the alpha key. You'll see a key called xt theta n. You want to punch that. And then the squared key is the 5th one down there in the first column there. So 5x squared. Our next term is plus 36x plus 12. Plus 30, I said 36, 32x plus 12. So I did not punch that in there right, plus 12. Make sure you have that in there correctly. 5x squared plus 32x plus 12. So now up here in the upper right hand corner, you want to punch graph, and it should graph it out there for you. Your window here is just kind of in your standard form that we always have it in, negative 10, 10, 1, and I'll put it in negative 10, 10, 1, graph. I don't know what I did. I must have done something wrong. Negative 10, 10, 1, negative 10, 10, 1, graph. Again, we're just looking for the x-intercepts there, so we can kind of approximate them. If you look up here, you've got 2 points here where it's intersecting on my graphing calculator here. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. And this other one looks like it's somewhere between negative 1 and 0. So to find those, what we're going to do here is when we have this graphed out here, and this is hitting here someplace in here, we're trying to figure out this point and this point here. So we're going to go to something called second calc, and we're going to put our cursor. This is the left-hand side of the graph, because as we graph it, this is the left-hand side, and down here is the right-hand side, and this is the left, and this is the right. We're going to do that twice. We're going to do this left-hand dot over here once around that, and then this right-hand dot we're going to do left, right. To be able to do that, we're going to go second calc. I'm going to go down to 0. Now, some of your graphs are going to say root or x-intercept. It should be the second one down. It means the same thing, 0, root, x-intercept. It's saying right now there that my cursor is way up there at 0, 12. I need to bring it down, so I have to bring it down using my left arrow. So see that cursor that's jumping up on my screen right there? That's where it is. So now it's going to come around, and I can watch it. It takes a little bit of time sometimes for it to come on up. There, it's starting to come up. So now I'm on the left-hand side of my point. So left-hand side of the point there. And now I'm going to hit enter. So now it's going to say, oh, we want to know what's the right bound. That's what the question there at the bottom is. So I'm going to bring my cursor down or over to the right here. So bringing it over here to the right. We've done left and right of that point. I'm going to hit, yep, that's on the right side now. It's going to guess it. You could move it up there if you wanted to, or at least leave it there. I said just say hit enter again, and it'll put exactly there. It's saying your 0 there is at -6. So our 0 there is at -6. So I can come back over here. One of my zeros here is -6. Let's find the other one. So coming over here, I'm gonna now go left, right around the other point. So I gotta punch second calc again. You gotta redo it. Go down to 0 or root or x-intercept. I'm gonna use my right arrow here, and I gotta move it around. It's going down, following the quadratic. Some point it's gonna start coming up, and you'll see it start coming up pretty soon. Looking for the, there it is. We want to be on the left-hand side, so in this case it's kind of down below it. So I'm down here on the left. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to move it up on the right-hand side of the point. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to hit enter one more time, and it put it there, and it says -0.4. It's a -0.4. So coming over here, my solution, -0.4. So those are my two solutions there from my graphing calculator. All right, so now I'm gonna try to work with this one here, this next quadratic here. I'm gonna subtract 15, so I get 2x squared plus 7x minus 15 equals 0. So again, we're gonna plug that into our graphing calculator there. So go to your y equals again. I'm gonna erase that out of there. 2x squared plus 7x minus 15 graph. There it is. I'm going to use my second calc. I'm going to go down to 0 or root or x-intercept. I'm going to move my cursor. Remember, we want to be on the left and the right, just like it is over there on the side there. You can see on the screen. So it's saying it's down there at 0, -15. I've got to bring it back up using my left arrow. There it's coming. Now I'm on the left-hand side. I'm going to hit enter. Bring it to the right. Hit enter. Guess. And I get -5. Finding the other one. So second calc, 0. Move the cursor. Coming around. There it is. It's on the left. Jumped up too far. Take it off on me. There it is. I'm on the left side. I'm on the right side, and I get on 1.5. So my other solution is 1.5. Write it down.